Hey y'all, and welcome back to the full set review of the Universes Beyond Yu-Gi-Oh! Draft set. In this episode, we're going to be talking about the blue-green cards. Now, I'm going to go over the grading system and everything here in a sec, but if you already know all that stuff and don't need to hear it again, feel free to skip to the time code on screen. We're going to go over every card in the set one by one, and we're going to talk about the Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards that inspired each one of those, how we translated them into Magic the Gathering cards, and then we're going to discuss how good those cards are, and when should you pick them in a cube draft. At this point, we have all had a lot of experience with this cube, enough to tell you how and when you should play each of these cards. We're going to use a grading system that goes from A to F. This grading system is only meant to tell you how highly you should pick the cards while drafting. And the grades go as follows. A is a bomb that you should often first pick. It can either win the game on its own easily, or is a part of a powerful game plan that is worth getting into as fast as you can. B is a solid card that draws you into an archetype, or a deck type, or a card that can efficiently interact with your opponent. You should pick Bs very highly. Cs are the bread and butter of your deck. Once you have an idea of where you're going, finding the right C-level cards is an incredibly important part of creating a consistent deck that won't just lose to itself. Don't pick these cards super highly, but you do want to make sure you have the correct C-level cards for your deck. D, these are either cards that just don't perform as highly as you want them to, or cards that fit only in very specific deck types. Often these are kind of like C-level cards, but they only go into like one deck, or they're cards with just low overall impact. There is certainly a right time to pick these cards, but it isn't early and it isn't often. F is a grade that we only give to cards that you should pretty much never pick under any circumstances, and if we gave a card an F grade, it probably means we need to buff that card. So, if you're curious about the set and want to learn more, I have left a ton of resources in the description, including a visual spoiler website that's easy to navigate, a Google Drive with all the images so you can print the set yourself, and a link to our Discord server so you can join us when we draft the set. With all that in mind, I hope you all enjoy this series of deep dives into the Yu-Gi-Oh! Universe Beyond draft experience. Think of it like a podcast series, with each episode covering a different part of the set. We're going to go over all the two-color pairs first, then each monocolor group, and finally colorless cards. But first, a word from our sponsor, MythAtom.com. MythAtom is an online store focused on products designed around the media we love. From game accessories to jewelry and more, MythAtom uses creativity and understanding to recreate many of the most iconic elements of our favorite nerdy stuff. They sent me some really cool items that you should be able to see on screen right now. I got a really cool MTG Commander deck box with this amazing stained glass look on the green deck box. It's got a nice case and pocket for your commander to show off as well. Yes, my commander's Mathis the Friend Seeker. No, I will not answer any questions about the deck. MythAtom sells other cool deck boxes too, and sleeves and binders and playmats and tokens, I mean, you name it. All your classic gaming items and accessories. But what's even cooler than that is the other item they sent me. This metal Colossus hammer keychain. This thing is gorgeous and looks just like the one from the card art. I'm going to put that on screen right here. It's very sturdy and weighty, and it's just a really well-made piece. They have a ton of others like this too, whether they're keychains, rings, or necklaces. MythAtom has some of the coolest metalwork nerd relics I've ever seen in a shop like this. They also sent me some glamour shots of the Colossus hammer that we can all marvel at right now. Ooh. Ah. So anyway, if you want to get something neat from this store, they gave me a discount code that you can use at checkout. It's not good. All one word, at checkout, to get an extra 10% off your purchase. That's It's Not Good at checkout. Thanks MythAtom for sponsoring this video. Now back to it. So now we're going to be getting into green-blue, and as we've alluded to a couple of times, green-blue is the defense position, face down, flipping face up sort of archetype, and that's what we're going to see a lot of. One thing that I want to mention before we get into these cards is blue-green, while they have a couple of other things going on, it's almost solely like flip and face down stuff. But what's cool about that realm of mechanics is they are better together, but you can actually play all of these cards in literally any deck, and they will be completely fine in those decks. So be aware, these are also, while they're most powerful when put together, they will fill out your deck just fine. They're not going to be great spikes. Yeah. They're not going to be big power spikes when they're put into your random decks, but they're going to be totally fine if you're not doing the face down defense position stuff. But if you are, they become a lot better in that way.
Yeah, and I also want to mention that because already seen a bunch of defense position monsters in other colors too. Um, you can play those in this deck because you can play them for one face down mana,
Hmm.
and then you can like if you build your deck accordingly, you can also use those other color defense position guys and use them to their fullest potential. So you can play like a defense position guy that is not in yeah, like morphing jar, for example. That one only requires you to pay blue. Or you can even do something like summoner of illusions, right? Because if you find a way to get like red mana in there, you just use them over and over again, and then you get all the synergy.
Yeah,
And I would quickly like to say, I'm not sure if this is entirely my favorite, but it's close to my favorite because all the defense position stuff is very tricky. You can do like a lot of stupid, weird, silly tricks with it, and I enjoy that a lot. Um,
absolutely.
Giving your opponent like it's like you're like the card dealer, the magician guy who just shuffles all these cards and then places them face down, and you have to pick one and all that stuff. I love that.
Absolutely.
That's why I love
When
this.
you're also, if you find yourself building this deck, be on the lookout for playing red because you've got Morphing Jar, you've got Magical Hats, and you've got Summoner of Illusions that all can work really well with a lot of these cards. So keep an eye out for the ability to play those cards. All right, let's go ahead.
And the Teamer Triland.
Yeah, get that Teamer Triland as fast as you can. Yeah. All right. So let's look at our first card. It's Armed Ninja, which is 1-star Earth Warrior Flip Effect monster with 300 attack and 300 defense. Its ability is, it's got a flip effect that says target one spell card on the field, destroy that target. If the target is set, reveal it, destroy it as a spell card, otherwise return to its original position. Go ahead and tell me about this card.
Yeah, this is one of the first monsters ever printed, and it was also not very good. This is part of the like also back then no one really used ninjas, but this later became an archetype, which now has like 50 different cards or something, and it kind of leans into that flip theme a bit too. It's really like it's iconic, but also no one really knows about it. It's weird. Like there's a deck, there's a small hidden, it's a very ninja archetype, if I do say so myself, like in the way how popular it is and how people know
Mm-hmm.
about it. Yeah, it's it also has the effect of Dispel, which was not a card that was often played, which is also in blue green, funnily enough. So we got that going on. Yeah.
Awesome. Let's look at the Magic Ward one, and then I'll have some pretty important things to talk about overall. We'll get there though. So in Magic, Armed Ninja is 1 and 2 green blue hybrids for a creature human ninja 3/2 with defense position for just a blue green hybrid, so only 1 mana if you're blocking. And it has flash, and when this creature enters or is turned face up, counter target activated or triggered ability. Mana abilities can't be targeted. Make sure you realize that. So, you look at original Arm Ninja, you look at mine, and also maybe when we get to Dispel, you'll look at that and you'll go, why are these all so different? You maybe remember when we looked at Mobius the Frost Monarch that it destroys an artifact or enchantment and can counter an instant or sorcery. The reason is because in Yu-Gi-Oh, spells and traps serve the same purpose as the cards in Magic that are artifacts, enchantments, instants, and sorceries. All 4 of those card types from Magic are represented using spells and traps in Yu-Gi-Oh. So, when you look at the cards that interact with those card types, you have to choose which part of Magic do you want that to interact with. You could say they all work the same, they all interact with exact card type like translations, but I don't think that that's the appropriate way to do it. If you're building a Magic set, you should then choose the most appropriate one for the specific card you're designing to work with. And so, since this is going to be a green blue hybrid card, that's where it fits in the set, it needs to interact with those cards in a way that both green and blue can. This meaning this needs to be able to be printed as a mono green card or a mono blue card. Now, green cannot counter an instant or sorcery spell. Well, it can counter an instant technically, but that's a whole other. We'll talk about that another day. But it also can't, I mean, it can destroy artifacts and enchantments, which is cool, but blue can't destroy artifacts and enchantments, but it can counter instants and sorceries. So it made it very hard to find the route that encompassed both blue and green. You could have had him counter an instant, but instead I chose to do something that is very blue and very green, which is actually countering activated and triggered abilities. Green is good at protecting against things like this for your creatures. It can lock those things down, and it can counter them. So, while this, yeah, it's probably more of a blue card than a green card, it still fits in green, and it's more unique than, like, Mobius or some of the other cards we'll see. I wanted each version of the interacting with spells and traps or whatever to be different for each card that I created with this way. And Armed Ninja feels the most tricky to be a card that's like, gets your triggers. It hits your triggers and counters those, which is fun. I like playing with Tishana's Tidebinder, which is a magic card that's kind of like this. And this is the Yu-Gi-Oh! Version here that can work with like block triggers, combat triggers, stuff like that, if it's blocking, but usually you can just flash it in as a 3-mana counter a triggered or activated ability. So, but what do you think, Aaron?
Yeah, the thing I love about this is, right, that it's one of those, morph creatures in quotation, where it sits on the board and then you can use it at any time without the window for your opponent to be able to say, I counter this flipping face up, it just happens. And then it sits on the board and then it counters something, which is neat, I think. Normally when you have like a counter spell, it sits in your hand or something. This guy is a trap card, but a creature. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
It's the closest thing we get to a trap card in Magic. It's just a face down creature that flips face up and counters something.
Yeah.
And it's pretty damn useful, I will say. Granted, you're not going to counter many triggered abilities while it's blocking. Sometimes that can happen, but not often. However, if you have 3 mana open, like imagine you have a bunch of face-down creatures and a bunch of them have different utility, and you really need to counter an activated ability. Boom, you can do it. Or you need to destroy something, you can flip up another guy. That's the kind of trickiness I like about this, is that it's like it's placed together with the other defense position guys in a really nice way. We have a lot of options on what to do, and this always comes in handy, I feel. Yeah, I would give this because you do need like double green, double blue, or you need something in that brain. I would say this is like a C minus, honestly, but it's honestly like a decent guy. You don't want to play this normally, right? You don't really feel too happy about ambushing something either. I mean, I guess a little bit, but you really want to use this to like mess your opponent up. So I would say this is like something for the defense position deck in particular, or if you really need some more interaction in your green or blue decks.
Yeah, I think it's unlikely that you won't find something to counter, but the question is like most decks have triggers you want to counter, like whether it's an enters ability, a dies trigger, an attack trigger, whatever it is, or an activated ability like, Cyberstein. But the thing is yes, there's a lot of stuff you can counter, but you have to be able to hold this guy up, whether that's, flipping him face up for full cost or casting him for full cost from your hand. And so you have to be playing a deck that's okay with leaving mana up like that anyway. And the 2 decks that are almost always okay with leaving that mana up is the defense position deck and the blue flash deck that exists in this set, which we will get into more in depth when we hit the mono blue cards. So those are the 2 decks I think you would play him in. I don't think you would play him in a green deck that's not blue. I think you're more likely to play him in either a blue deck that isn't playing any green or a green-blue deck. Not really so much in the green green decks that don't play blue. So because I think that you're just not going to want to leave up that mana in those decks a lot of the time. But I would give him a C minus as well. You don't feel horrible about playing this card. He's going to get his money, but he's not the most efficient. He's not killing your opponent. He's not winning the game. He's just letting you bridge turn to turn in a decent way too, like countering their big effect. They cheat out their Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, right? And you're gonna be able to find an answer maybe to it, but in the meantime, you use Arm Ninja to stop them from drawing 3 cards, right? Stuff like that. Or they use the Summoner of Illusion for that situation, so you counter the Summoner's trigger, right? Stuff like that is always going to be how you use this guy. It doesn't win you a game, but it's good interaction in a lot of ways. So I like C-. You will not feel horrible about playing him. You're not picking him highly, right?
Yeah. The one thing I will mention I like about all the defense position guys is that you can just play him for 1 mana. If you're up against any aggressive deck, this is just so painful for them because you just play a guy for like a 2/2 defender every turn, and you play like a million of them, and your opponent has to somehow chew through that. That's the nice part about them.
And your investment is so low. You only paid 1 mana, and you don't have to flip them. You just go, okay, I'll trade with your 2-drop with my 1-drop defender. And they go, yeah, I guess. So never forget, defense position creatures really do have a big upside on that. They are great at being defensive. That's actually one thing that they're really good at doing. And so the green-blue deck has those in spades. Just tons of defensive plays that are very tricky, that feel very good to keep up with the powerful aggression. All right, let's go to the next card. We've got the classic, the OG, the goated Book of Moon, which is a quick spell that says...
Quick play spell.
Quick play spell, right. There you go. I was trying to remember how you say it. I just said quick spell. It's close enough. Quick play spell that has target 1 face-up monster on the field and change that target to face-down defense position. Tell me about it, Aaron. Tell me about it.
Yeah, this card... this is one of the OGs. You know, this is so versatile. This is played up until the modern day, honestly. Like, there are times where you still play this card, and it's one of the oldest cards that exists. So, just tells you, like, the ability to just... to set a creature face down basically means that you stop it from being used as any kind of material for synchro monsters, Xyz monsters, link monsters, whatever else, right? You stop it from like anything that can during your opponent turn just quickly just set their guys face down. Is basically like ending their turn in a way, because like no one really wants to tribute them or do anything else with them. Like you just stop them right in their tracks, and this thing can just interrupt a lot of things. So like this was always good. This can also be used to reset your own flip monsters, which is crazy, right? You would as I told about before, like the morphing jar combo relied on this card. Empty jar, you would use this to reset your morphing jar, flip it back up, draw into more Books of Moon and Book of Moons, right? And do it again. That kind of stuff. This card has a legacy, and I find it amazing that it is so good that it's even played like, up until recently.
Yeah, I think when they printed this card, they didn't realize what they were doing. I think they assumed it was just going to be either, stop your opponent from attacking or reset your flip summons. I think that was the design intention of this card. And they didn't realize that this card shuts off your chains, because no longer has the types or the stats or the levels or anything that you would need to be able to chain into anything else. It's very cool. I actually love that this card is still good, because it kind of exemplifies the weird ways that Yu-Gi-Oh works that are so different than many other card games. So I like Book of Moon a lot.
I think it was limited at some point.
I'm
really? Not sure. Maybe it was. I don't think it's. Maybe it was banned too. I can't remember, but I know it was restricted at some point.
This is not the kind of card that I would have.
This card.
I would not, as a person trying to balance a format, this is not the card I would be targeting, because this card is disruptive in a way that Yu-Gi-Oh needs. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, well, go back into old formats and see how it is with 3 Book of Moons,
Yeah. Anyway, let's look at the Magic version. And I'll tell you right now, the Magic version's also really good. In Magic, Book of Moon is a green-blue hybrid, so just 1 mana, for an instant that says set target creature. And as we remember from Magical Hats, that's turn it face down. It's a 2/2 with Defender. And they can turn it face up at any time for its full mana cost. Or if it has, defense position, they can turn it up for that mana. It also has flashback for 3 in a blue-green hybrid. So, this card does what it do, Yugi. You don't understand. Just like in Yu-Gi-Oh!, Book of Moon and Magic, it disrupts your opponent. If they go to combat, at the beginning of combat, you can just set their creature they were going to attack with, and if they don't have the mana to flip it face up, they don't get to attack with that creature that turn. It turns off abilities, because if you do it before the ability of something can trigger, it won't be able to trigger. It also, just like in Yu-Gi-Oh!, can turn off material that's in play. For example, if they don't have the mana to flip it face up, and they were going to use it for fusion material, you can turn it face down. It's no longer the types it needs to be for that fusion material. It also, just like in Yu-Gi-Oh!, or this is different than Yu-Gi-Oh!, turns off Emerge, because now your creature's mana value is 0. And so now you can't use that creature to discount your Emerge costs. On the flip side, using it on your own creatures, obviously, can turn your creatures into, can redo their flip summonings. Oh, another one that you might not have thought of is if they attack with a creature, you can set it after it's attacking. It will still be attacking, even though it has Defender, because it gained Defender after it started attacking, and then block their creature as a 2/2 instead of whatever it was. This is actually a way you can kill Dragoons, is you just turn their Dragoon face down after it attacks, and then block it. It's super good. Yeah, like, Book of Moon is crazy.
You still have to eat that trigger, though, but yeah.
You do. You have to eat the trigger, yeah. But I think it's worth eating the trigger to kill the Dragoon.
Yeah. Man, I love that this works. Just for clarification, if you set a creature in Yu-Gi-Oh!, you can still use its properties for fusion material because you know what it is.
Oh.
Yeah. But
not in this, though. You can't in Magic.
Right. Yeah, not in this. In this, basically... the creature on the field is treated as the characteristics that are visible, and so you can't use it as a dragon, for example. So That's an important difference to note. But yeah, also the Emerge thing, I really like this kind of removal, like that. This just this is I love the kind of tricky removal this is, because it means you don't technically kill the creature, but you make your opponent invest all their mana back into it again, and you can stop their things. And yeah, I just love the versatility of this card. I think it's really nailed how good this is in Yu-Gi-Oh! It feels very close to that power level, honestly. I would rate this card very highly, and the flashback is crazy. Doing this twice is wow. Yeah, I think this is one of the I love this as a removal spell. This is one of my favorite cards in the set. I'd give it a B, honestly.
It plays so well, too. I would first pick this. It's so good. And it's not the kind of good that breaks games and makes, and wins the game super fast, although there's plenty of that in the set. It's the opposite end. It answers all those things. If your opponent puts a bunch of resources into cheating something into play, you could just Book of Moon it. There's no way they can flip it. They cheat out that Cyber Twin Dragon, you go, nope, you're good. It's a 2/2. And it's just awesome. It feels so good to play. It feels cool that it is this good. I'd give it an A-. I don't want to give a higher grade to something that can't win the game, that can't be doing that, but it's such good interaction at such a good rate, and it has value by having flashback, that I want to give it an A- because I would first pick this card a lot of the time, because it's such a good and efficient piece of interaction that works on so many different levels. So I'm giving it an A-. This card's incredible.
And also, I don't think you don't care if you play this in a defense position deck or not. You play this in any green deck or any blue deck.
Yeah, any green deck, any blue deck, any deck that can cast this is going in. Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
All right, next card. Treeborn Frog. This is a 1-star water aqua effect monster. Has 100 attack and 100 defense. And it says, once per turn during your standby phase, if this card is in your graveyard and you do not control a Treeborn Frog, you can special summon this card. You must control no spell or trap cards to activate and resolve this effect. Tell me about it.
So this card We added this in because you loved Monarchs so much, so we
Mhm.
couldn't just not add the card that made Monarchs into a competitive deck for a really long time. You know, that this is the card that
So
basically
true.
carried Monarchs for a really long time. Um, Treeborn Frog was crazy. You just get free tribute fodder every turn, and there are a million funny little tricks you can do with it. One trick I would like to mention is um, this is not a once per turn, the summon. So if you find a way to quickly tribute it with a quick play spell or something during your standby phase, you can summon it again, and then you can use it for a tribute summon. So for example, you could use like enemy controller to tribute the Treeborn Frog during your standby phase. Um, Take control of a monster your opponent controls, summon the Treeborn Frog again because it's still your standby phase, and then go to your main phase and do whatever else you wanted to do. So this card
What? Wait, it says
was
it says once per turn during your standby phase. Did they errata
yeah, but
it?
it's not a hard once per turn, and it counts as a
Oh,
different card
right.
when it's
Right, it's the
when it's
other type of
tributed,
once per
right?
turn. If it was the hard, it would say you may
Yeah,
only activate the effects of a treeborn frog once per turn. And it doesn't say
yeah,
that.
right.
I see. I forget how Yu-Gi-Oh
Yeah.
does the soft and hard
You
once
can
per
you can only
turns.
do this like once while it is in the graveyard, but then when it enters the graveyard again,
It's a different card,
it
yeah.
resets.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
so you can do that kind of thing. Man, I don't remember. I think they, oh, God, I don't know if they banned this card or not. It wouldn't surprise me because limiting it doesn't do anything, right? Because you can
Mhm.
just, I think it was limited, honestly, though, because there are like a million ways to get this into the graveyard. The other thing why this was so good was because you could just, frogs had like the easiest way to get this into the graveyard, and then you would always
So
have
you
like
never
the
had to
tribute
normal
fodder
summon,
forever
yeah.
and ever. Yeah, you can always discard it. You can always use like a swap frog or something and get it into the graveyard. This card is a house and legendary, and the deck was called Frog Monarchs, in case you were
Mhm.
wondering, and this is
Oh
why.
yeah.
Um,
And let me tell you,
yeah,
it's good with the monarchs, okay?
yeah,
But you notice we're in the
of
green
course.
blue section. So it is a green blue card. We'll get there. I'll explain why it's green blue. But before we get there, it is 2 and a blue green hybrid for a creature frog that's 2/1. That says whenever this creature attacks, it gains flying until end of turn. And then it says when you sacrifice this creature, return it to the battlefield tapped at the beginning of the next end step. Or sorry, at the beginning of the next upkeep. So, a couple of things here, right? One of the things is it returning is tied to how it dies. So it's a little bit more limited than the original Treeborn Frog. But because it gets to put it back into play rather than returning it to your hand like a magic card would normally do, that's why I felt it was okay to kind of limit it. You have to sacrifice it rather than it just dying, and also, it's got to be still in your graveyard at that point for it to come back. All that stuff. I gave it the flying when it attacks because it's got wings in the art. Now I know it's supposed to be because it's coming back to life and it's coming from heaven or whatever, but it has wings and it's a frog, so it like hops. I was like, look, I'm just gonna give it that ability so that you can attack with it one time, then sack it to do a tribute summon or something like that for a merge. That's what's going on with the card. There was a lot. We had a lot of discussion about how this should be designed and how it should work. This is where we ended up, so it's very good with emerge. Now back to the question: why is it blue green? This does not do anything with defense position, right? And as we've seen in every color combination, not every card in the color combination, especially in the hybrids, fit directly into the archetypes that we are sort of claiming those colors are. Because we do put a lot of multicolor cards in the set, so we want to make sure that there's a lot of different, things you can do with a lot of the cards. And so when I design, similar to, for example, like Lord of D, when I designed this hybrid card, instead of thinking this is good for blue green, I think of what is a green deck and a blue deck that want a card like this, or how can I make this wanted by both a green deck and a blue deck, but not the green blue deck? And that would be because it's so good with emerge, it's good with the green-white value emerge and any monarch stuff, but also the blue-white dragons deck. Because in the blue-white dragons deck, they're trying to cast their dragons with emerge. They're not trying to cheat things out like the red-black one is, like we'll get into. The blue-white one wants to just cast their dragons and emerge them. So the Treeborn Frog is also great in the blue-white dragons deck to fit with their emerge dragons. So that's kind of why it got here. And then on top of all of that, frogs in Magic the Gathering, are green and blue, right? They're already green and blue creatures. They don't really fit into red or black or white. So it all just kind of culminated in it making sense in the set for it to be a blue-green card. What are your thoughts, Aaron?
Yeah, and the reason this is Treeborn Frog too is because I suggested at one point that we make this revival jam because there were so many other anime cards in here, and like we didn't have many Merrick cards in here. But then we also decided, because this is like the centerpiece of Frog Monarchs, we needed to like represent how iconic that is, and so it became Treeborn Frog. Even though the design for Revival Gem would have been very, very similar in that vein.
Yeah.
So I think that's interesting.
Yeah, the design fits closer to Revival Jam than Treeborn Frog, but Treeborn Frog contextually made more sense to choose. Yeah.
Yes, of course. Needed to be in the Monarchs, with all the Monarchs, and needed to be like for all the guys who've played with Treeborn Frog for their entire life and all that. Love the hop flavor. The stats are appropriately weak for this. Interestingly, this can also come back if you sacrifice it for a fusion summon or something while it's in the
True.
However, I would like to point out that there's not many fusion monsters that would like a frog. So,
True. Yeah, it has to be one that's like a blue creature, like a Thousand Eyes Restrict or something like that.
Exactly. So it is a bit specific in that. However, it is very versatile. I also really like it comes back tapped at the beginning of the next turn, so you're not going to attack with it again. However, it just sits there and provides emerge value, so it's really useful in any deck that requires a lot of material and upkeep. It requires a lot of anytime you want to do something with sacrificing, if you have any card that likes to do that, or if you have any emerge creatures or fusion monsters or ritual monsters that you'd like to summon while keeping your card advantage up, this just does the trick. And I think in that vein we got it really close to the original. So yeah, I'm really happy how it turned out. I'd give this like a C+, honestly.
Yeah, I'd give it a C+ as well, because the stats are terrible. You're really not going to play this card unless you're making use of that ability at the bottom a lot. Not even just once. You need to use this twice at least, regularly in your matches for it to have been worth playing this card. But when you do, it's great. It's great there. So I like C+ here. Make sure that you're doing that thing. I do think that you want to, if you're the cards you've already picked are making you think you might have a decent number of emerge cards in your deck, I think it's worth picking this. And it doesn't matter which kind of emerge cards you're playing. You could be the multicolor monarch deck. You could be the green-white emerge value. You could be blue-white dragons. Any deck that wants a decent number of pieces of material, like Aaron was saying, is going to want this card. So make sure that you keep your eye out on it and see if your deck wants it or not. All right, next card. Next book is Book of Taiyu, which is a spell card that says flip one face-down monster on the field into face-up, attack position. So the opposite of Book of Moon. Tell me about it.
Yeah, and that's fantastic, because this is not only the opposite in terms of design. Book of Taiyu means sun. Book of Moon is moon. So it's not only the opposite in that; it's also the opposite in how much it was played. While Book of Moon was one of the best cards of all time, Book of Taiyu never saw any play and was terrible. So I really like that the designers thought to, make sure that it's really the opposite in every way, and I feel like that's really flavorful of them.
Very good, thank you.
I feel
designers.
Yeah, I feel like they were released around the same time. Yeah, and I think Book of Tayo never saw any play except an empty jar, and Book of Moon saw all of the fame and glory. So yeah, there you go.
All right, let's look at the Magic version, and it is definitely not as good as Book of Moon. So let's read what it says. Green blue for an instant. Turn target face down creature face up. So I'm going to pause right there. The first part of the text is the text from the Yu-Gi-Oh card. But that would be very bad. That would be a horrible card. Even if I made it 1 mana, it would be very bad. So, there's a bunch more shit happening here to pay you off for playing this card in the right place. So let's read what that is. It says, if this would cause the ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. If this would cause the ability of a permanent an opponent controls to trigger, you gain control of that ability. Then you may set that creature. So, here's a couple things. This is a weird card. It's definitely a weird and tricky card. You only ever play this card in the blue-green defense position deck. That's the only place. So already, very low pick. You do not pick this very highly. But it's fun and cool. It does some silly things. First off, if after me reading that you're really not sure what this is actually doing, I'll explain. So when I turn a creature face up, it often will have an ability, like, let's say, Summoner of Illusion. When I turn it face up, it'll trigger an ability that lets me sacrifice another creature to special summon a fusion monster, right? Well, I'm using Yu-Gi-Oh terms for Magic, sorry. To put a fusion creature from outside the game into play, right? That is a... Thank you so much. That is an ability that is triggering off of me turning it face up. So Book of Tayu says, if that's how I turned it face up, it triggers twice instead of once. So, as we'll see some of these other flip face up cards, they're going to get to double trigger when you flip it face up. Additionally, if I have any other cards that will trigger when I turn this face up on the field, and we'll see some of those in blue-green, those will also double trigger. So, for example, there's a card we're going to see called Skelengel, or however you say it. That says when you flip something face up, flip anything face up, draw a card. If I already have the Skelengel face up on my field and I flip something else face up, I draw 2 cards from Skelengel as well as getting double trigger of my card. Okay, that's part of what Book of Tayu is doing here. But next you'll see, it says, if this would cause the ability of a permanent an opponent controls to trigger, you control that. So that means, if I targeted an opponent's face-down creature with this, so I could see what it would do, I get to control what that trigger does. For example, if it's, say, a penguin soldier, which when it flips face up, you return 2 things to the hand. If I Book of Tayu my opponent's penguin soldier, I choose what the penguin soldier targets. Okay? So that's also what Book of Tayu is doing. So it's very weird and complicated. And last but not least, I can put that card back into its face down position if I want to. I don't have to. So if it's like my opponent's penguin soldier, I don't got to put it back face down. But if it's my card, or like my penguin soldier, I can just put it face down so I can do it again later. That's what Book of Tayu does. I don't think people pick this card very often because I think they don't know what it does. They read it and they're like, I have no clue what that does, Johnny. What did you do? So I had to explain here what it does. It's very specific, but it just says, do the very specific thing and I will give you everything you want from that specific thing. So that's what it's doing.
Yeah.
Tell me what you think here, Aaron.
Yeah, I mean, you saw the original Book of Tayu and how no one would ever use it for any reason, and decided that we needed 500 reasons to play this. And
You're damn right.
This is very good. It's very good. Yeah, I mean, this is only this is a D. This is a D because you can only ever play this in the blue-green defense position deck. You're not splashing for this, never.
Yeah.
There's no reason to do this unless your deck is full with defense position guys, because there's no guarantee your opponent has defense position guys. This is something you pick late. But the good news is it's probably going to come back, because who's going to pick this card?
Who else is picking it, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that actually leads into Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead and give your rating. Yeah, sorry.
So yeah, I'd say this is a D, but it's D for a good reason because as soon as it's the last card you see, you can pick it and be happy about it. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think this sets up a really good conversation for in sets like this. There are cards like Book of Moon, which can go in practically any deck that can cast it. Not just practically, literally. If I'm playing green or I'm playing blue, like at all, I just pick Book of Moon and put it in my deck. Right? That's part of how it's a good card, it's powerful, it's easy to cast. So you got cards like that fill out this set. And then you have cards which are the exact opposite of that, which is so funny that Book of Moon and Book of Taiyu work in exactly the opposite ways from one another, which I think is perfect. I love it. I think it's really cool design. But Book of Taiyu is the kind of card where it can literally only go in one very specific exact place. A blue-green defense position deck that has enough of those cards to support this actually doing something good, right? And so that's why I agree, a D. I would give this card a D. Maybe even worse than a D, but I don't think I want to. Because when you fit this into the right deck perfectly, it becomes amazing. It becomes really powerful and versatile if the tools are already set up in front of you, right? So it's a very weird and interesting card in that respect. For example, maybe you've got like Penguin Soldier face down, as we're going to see later. You only pay 1 mana for your Penguin Soldier to put it face down, and then you could pay 2 mana from Book of Taiyu to flip it face up and bounce 4 creatures of your opponents with this. It's really cool, but like it only goes in a very specific place. You are not picking this card until you've already constructed a decent blue-green deck. So it's going to go around the table. No one's going to pick it unless they're the one doing it. And I don't think you should pick it early just because of that powerful late-game potential. I think you should only pick it if you've already got the other stuff because you need that stuff first. You shouldn't be prioritizing Book of Taiyu because here's how it works. If you pick Book of Taiyu but you don't get enough of the good blue-green defense position cards, Book of Taiyu's trash. But if you pick some of the good blue-green defense position cards and you never get Book of Taiyu, your deck's probably still fine, right? Yes, a Book of Taiyu would go great in your deck, but if you don't get it, you're not sad, right? So yeah, I'd put a D on Book of Taiyu, but don't. Things like this are great for sets like this because they're fun. They go in only one place, but they reward the person who chooses to do that. They really, really reward the player who does that. A set is very bad if it has only cards like that because then your lanes get very well defined early on and no one's interacting with one another. A set is also very bad if it only has cards like Book of Moon because then every deck is just soup. A set is awesome when you have cool mixes of both. When you can go in both directions and there's these balancing acts of easy to pick, low opportunity cost cards or hard to pick, high opportunity cost cards that pay you off for being very specific. I love it. This would be a card that's like once you're in blue-green, you're like, fuck yeah, maybe I'll do this. So anyway, any final thoughts, Aaron?
Oh, one quick thing. I think I'm remembering this correctly. You have Book of Moon right behind this one, right?
What do you mean?
If you look at the artwork, I think the hieroglyphs at the bottom are literally the same, and I think also the shapes are the same. Besides the moon symbol, I think they literally just color swapped the art.
Dude, no
Take
way.
a look.
But then they put the sun in the middle. Yeah, everything else is exactly the same except for the sun in the middle. You know what? It's fine. Use your resources how you got to use your resources, okay?
Creative design, yeah.
I also love how
But it still looks awesome.
the books are meant to be like ancient Egyptian, but there weren't books back then. Why does it have like a binding like a normal book does? It doesn't make any sense. Anyway, all right.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the next card,
Also
D-Spell.
Oh,
sorry.
Just real quick. I love that that Book of Taiyu is now somehow playable. I think that's my favorite part of it.
Yes. Yeah. That's also just like the balance of cards that are easy to pick versus hard to pick. The balance of cards that were iconic and very powerful in their day and cards that were trash and no one talked about is also fun to have in the set because you see a card you're like, I didn't even know this was a Yu-Gi-Oh card. And then your next pack you go like, oh, I remember this card. It's so cool. And like, that's awesome. Like, to have those sort of ups and downs and variety that makes things very cool and fun in the set. All right, let's talk about the next card, Dispel. This is a spell card that, as Aaron said earlier, was trash and wasn't played at all. It says target one face-up spell or one set spell or trap on the field. Destroy it if it's a spell. If the target is set, reveal it.
Yeah, I would correct myself and say Mystical Space Typhoon did exist, but it was also limited back then.
Oh, yeah.
And I think some people like, if you really had to, you would play this card like maybe in side decks or something to get rid of some annoying spell cards or something. But for the most part, this card was one of the first spell cards ever made, and I think people remember it for that reason.
Yeah.
You can tell, and it's iconic and all that, but it was never really that good.
Yeah, it's iconic in the card was bad, but we remember it. That's that kind of iconic it was.
Yeah.
All right, let's look at the Magic card.
In the first set, first set.
This card was buffed, by the way, in the Magic version. It's green-blue for an instant that says choose one or both. So originally this only said choose one. And it says destroy target, or oh my gosh. This, yo, do you notice this? The typo here?
What?
It doesn't
artifact.
It doesn't say target. Okay, I gotta write this down to fix this. Alright, I'm writing down to fix this. My printed set, the big printed set I have over there has this with it. I mean, everyone knows it's fine. I'm not going to print that off for it. But anyway. Okay, so what it should say is choose one or both, destroy target artifact or enchantment, and counter target instant or sorcery spell. So this is essentially, on an instant, Mobius's trigger. You can do one or both, for just like Mobius's trigger. When it just said choose one, it was actually it was pretty bad. It was like kind of funny that it was like Dispel is bad, and so Dispel and Magic will also be bad. And it was very funny to do that. But I don't think that's where I wanted to take this. It was like a card that already existed in Magic that wasn't very good, and so I didn't really want to just like rehash the same mediocre territory. And so now, Dispel has a high end. It's similar. It's like a modal spell. You can counter instants and sorceries. You can destroy artifacts and enchantments. It's fine, flexible. But what's nice now is that it has a very nice upside, very like a top end of what it's capable of doing. That's a lot more interesting now, because you could get a 2-for-1 out of it if you line it up perfectly, which I think makes the card a little bit better. What do you have to say, Aaron?
Yeah, I think everything about this is very clean. Like, I love that the green part of it is destroying a target artifact enchantment, and the blue part is countering a target instant or sorcery. That's super clean, you can do both. It's awesome. I love that it feels like Dispel. It feels like the Yu-Gi-Oh version of Dispel, but better. And I think Dispel deserves that after being so iconic and never seeing any play, I think this is like pretty good removal, just generally. You will always find something to do with it. And if you are in those colors, you're happy to have this. I would give this a C+. So.
Me too, actually. And that's the weird part, is I think that if it didn't say choose one or both, I would give it a C-, maybe even a D+, because it doesn't have that potential to unlock parts of the game. I know it sounds weird to say that, but cards that have potential to do something more powerful, but also have a floor that is reasonable, are a lot better than the cards that just have a reasonable floor, right? Because now we know that parts of the game I could set up to get big plays off of a very simple interaction spell, but it's never going to be bad. It's never going to not do something. Every person you play against is going to have something that this can do, whether that's destroying some powerful enchantment they have, or countering their future fusion or something like that, because now you have the interaction. There will always be an interaction point for this card to hit, and that's going to be great. And sometimes it will double hit. It will hit a removal spell and destroy their Cyber Dragon. You know what I mean? Sometimes it'll do a lot more, but at the very least the floor is it's only 2 mana. It's going to be flexible and efficient and effective at many points in the game, and it will not be hard to find a way to use it. So I also like it. I want to give it a C+. I think I will say the one downside is as far as interaction pieces go, needing you to have blue and green at whenever point you're trying to cast this, that is still asking you something. You have to be playing both blue and green. You have to have that mana up. You might not always have that on turn 2, especially if you're playing 3 colors. But that being said, it shouldn't be too hard to make that happen, and it'll be worth it when you're able to play this kind of interaction.
Yeah, if you're in blue-green, this is like your bread and butter removal spell, right?
Yeah.
Next to
Yep.
Book of Moon.
Sure. Book of Moon a little bit better, yeah. Alright, cool. Next card. Desert Tapir is going to be 3-star Earth Beast Flip Effect monster with 900 attack and 300 defense. It says whenever you flip it, flip one face-up monster on the field face down. You cannot select Desert Tapir. Tell me about this card.
Yeah, I love this card because this I don't think most people remember this at all. This is like I think this is like a super old card, right? I think it was like mid GX era or something, or maybe it was one of those, like, it looks like a GX card, but I think it might actually have come out like in 2003 or something. And funnily enough, like, this card got retrains. Like, there is a card called Dark Desert Tarpier, and yeah, that came out like in the 5Ds era. So for some reason, like, no one remembers this, but this got a retrain, and no one
That's so
remembers
funny.
that card either. But yeah,
That's so
but you
funny.
know, yeah,
It's fun
it
to
was
have.
one of those great cards that you have, like, you have a monster that no one remembers, and you can do something cool for your archetype with it.
Absolutely. This one I remembered because it was just in my binder. So it's just a random card from Johnny's binder. You know what I mean? It's so funny.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
let's look at the magic version, which is 1 green blue for a 2/1 creature beast. It has defense position for green blue, so you can flip it face up while it's blocking for 2. And it says when this enters or is turned face up, set another target creature. So it Book of Moons. So we got another Book of Moon in here as well. This one, on the other hand, though, is going to cost you more mana. You pay 3 to play this creature and it enters, and that will allow you to do it, but it does it at sorcery speed if you do it that way. So 3 mana at sorcery speed, quite a lot worse than Book of Moon. Or I can pay 1 mana to set this, and later on, I can do it at instant speed to flip it face up at any time for 3 mana or for 2 if it's blocking, which is a little bit better then, right? That version, it's still expensive though, right, compared to Book of Moon. This really shows you how good the efficiency of Book of Moon is. Now, Desert Tapir here is going to be able to let you reset your other flip face down stuff. It's going to be able to be reset itself. If you Book of Moon your Desert Tapir, then the Desert Tapir can flip again and do it again. You shouldn't do that. You should just use the Book of Moon on the target, but it's interesting that you can do that if you wanted to multi-trigger, right? Let's say I had that Skelengel that we're going to see later, and I wanted to draw a lot of cards. I can flip Desert Tapir face down, then use Desert Tapir's ability to turn it face up, draw a card from Skelengel, then turn Skelengel face down, then turn Skelengel back face up, draw another card. Like, it allows you to do some silly things, but I think it's interesting because it's like, it's a bit worse than Book of Moon in that respect, but it itself is a defense position creature, which means it's allowed to fill into your archetypes doing the Book of Moon stuff a little bit, which I think is very important, which makes the card more interesting, and it fits in while not being as efficient, still giving you these abilities. What do you think, Aaron?
Yeah. I think there's a few interesting things to note here. One is there are, as you said, some very silly things you can do. The one thing I remember is using it with another creature that had an ability to set things and flip them face up again. And then what this would allow me to do is basically use Desert Tapir as a repeatable Book of Moon. So you would set it, and then it flips face up, and then you somehow set it again, and then you could, like, disrupt your opponent the entire time, every time it flipped up. It's like a control engine. If you manage to do that, which is wild. The other thing is, this is kind of like a removal spell on a stick, because kind of, if your opponent, like, if you play it for 1 mana and then you have 2 mana open and your opponent attacks into you, you can block with it, set the creature that's attacking, and then you can trade with it, right? So it's basically like a 3 mana removal spell into anything that attacks into it.
Yeah.
And the third and last thing I think is interesting is I really like that a lot of the blue-green defense position creatures we decided to go the route of silly little cute small creatures
Yeah.
because yeah, we will talk about it when we get to it, but it shifted a lot. We had to swap some cards around, but we ended up on the blue greens are all the silly little small guys that just do flipping things, and I like
Yeah.
it that way a lot better than what we had before.
Oh
So
yeah,
yeah.
we don't need to talk about the ooze.
As, yeah, we need to talk about the ooze. That's very ominous. But the grade I would give this card is a like C plus C. I'd say C because you need to play blue green. You can't play it outside of blue green. You don't splash for it. It's a
Mhm.
C. But inside the blue green deck, it's like a really good piece, and you like it because it can actually like be a control engine, which is very unique. And I love about these creatures, the defense position creatures, that sometimes they sit on the board and they are engines for you, like repeatable engines of powerful effects. That's what I really love about them.
Yeah, I agree. C as well. It's a decent card. It's definitely a pretty good one. As long as you're in these colors, even if you're not fully leaning into the defense position archetype, like Aaron said, it can be just a removal spell in a lot of ways. So I like this card a lot. All right, next up. We've got Needleworm, which is a 2-star Earth Insect Flip Effect monster with 750 attack and 600 defense. And when you flip it face up, send the top 5 card of your opponent's deck to their graveyard. Oh, God. Yeesh.
Oh,
Tell me about
memories,
this.
huh? Yeah. This card was a menace on the playground and probably one of the first cards that made mill a possible strategy. Um, I think, this was also played in the empty jar decks because, of course, you would
Yeah.
play morphing jar, draw a bunch of cards, and then you would also have needleworm to reset it a bunch of times and do that over and over again. It was never like broken or anything, but it is iconic as the monster you hated to see when you attacked into something and you were like, oh my god, is he gonna do this 5 more times and I'm gonna die? Very, very iconic, and the original mill guy,
I mean,
the mill. This is Yu-Gi-Oh's millstone. This is the yeah.
true. I mean,
Bring the
casual
destroyer.
players hate mill. They hate getting milled. When they see their cool card
Yeah,
go to the graveyard, they think, wow, you just did removal on my cool card. Which is not what mill is. But, newer players don't think
yeah,
of it that way. So, yeah,
yeah.
newer players hate mill. I totally get it. All right, let's look at the Magic version. In Magic, however, it is 2 green blue for a 3/3 creature insect. It has defense position for blue green, so again, this one can be flip face up for 2 mana whenever you're blocking. And when this creature enters or is turned face up, look at the top 5 cards of your library, put 1 into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. So we're not milling our opponents anymore, we're milling ourselves. Tell me about this, what you think on this one, Aaron.
Ah, well, as a new player, I obviously hate seeing this. Like putting 4 of my own cards into the graveyard, awful. Like,
What the
well,
heck?
F
Why are we
unplayable.
doing this?
No,
F, yeah.
yeah, no. I think it's decent. Like for 4 mana, if you play a 3/3 for 4 mana, and then you search for pieces, it's nice in that in blue green you want some specific pieces so you can set up like your little engine. You want to have like this little loop going, and so for that you need some certain cards. The thing I don't like about it is that blue green is the deck that doesn't necessarily have the best graveyard synergies, right? That's the downside of it. Like normally, okay, you'd be fine putting cards in your graveyard, but when I think about all the blue green flip stuff, I don't see many things that you actually want to put in your graveyard, so that's kind of stinky a little bit because then it kind of does suck that
I
you're
will
putting them in
say,
your graveyard. But
really quick,
um,
there are cards like that, but they're in mono blue and mono green. They're not in the blue green cards. Does that make sense?
yeah, which one are you thinking of?
We're talking about Magician of Faith, Baphomet.
Ah, right.
Uh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
no, not Baphomet. That one doesn't do it. It's the
Gazelle, I guess.
Gazelle. Yeah, Gazelle.
Gazelle.
That's true, Gazelle. There's a couple of cards, but I agree. It's not as strong in these colors as it is in some other colors for sure.
Yeah, I mean, if I wanted like graveyard synergy, I would go with like I would love this card in the black decks,
Yeah.
just mill anything. But for searching your combo pieces, this is nice. The one issue I also see with it is This is really scary because you can, of course, repeat this effect, but I don't know how many times you want to repeat this effect because you can flip it face down and face up again, and you can book of Taiju it, and then you mill yourself for 10,
Hell yeah,
Um,
dude.
I, yeah, I mean, oof. It is decent as a card draw thing, but it is also scary. I would honestly like give it a C, and it's only playable in blue and green because, yeah,
Yeah.
outside of it, you don't want to splash with this. I guess if you really want some black things, you can like try and splash with this, but mostly this is blue and green. Yeah,
Yeah, I
a
think what's
C for
interesting
me.
about this card, and I agree, I would give it a C as well. I think what's interesting about this card is maybe a C minus. I don't know, but is that you can put this in decks that are okay with having this. Not that you're splashing for this card, because that's not worth it, but a deck that was already playing these colors and maybe black as well. Sometimes you're playing a 3-color deck that's not necessarily splashing one of those colors, and it's just more heavily in one of them and then has 2 other colors. This can work there, particularly if you're in black or white and have ways to use your graveyard. It is a unique sort of little guy who bridges a couple of other strategies that there's not as much support for bridging. And so, say I'm playing mainly blue green, but I also have some black in my deck for some reanimation spells. This card makes those set up a lot better because look at the top 5 cards in my deck. I'll take the reanimation spell and then put the rest of the cards in the graveyard. Could be a good creature to reanimate. It can set up for good stuff like that. I've definitely seen people playing this in their 3-color decks where it's just a good card selection card, and they were playing a deck with cards that are good in the graveyard anyway, right? What comes to mind is like the cards that like the dragon that you can cast from your graveyard for emerge, or
Hmm.
the red dragon that can be used as material from your graveyard. Like this can get you extra value as long as you're playing it. But I think that Needleworm actually doesn't fit. Like you definitely play it in the blue green deck for sure. I don't think there's a problem with it. It's defense position. It's doing stuff. It's card advantage for sure. But I think where it's going to shine actually is decks that can use it. So they have blue and green, but are trying to find certain cards and do certain things. I think that's where you want it. It's great if you're playing Exodia as well. Needleworm's great in an Exodia deck, so it's kind of that sort of thing where
Oh, actually,
it's very weird, but
actually,
it fits into weird places in the entire format. Go ahead, Aaron. What's up?
yeah. Actually, I think I just realized one place where this is actually a good card, and that's the black green insect deck. Um,
Yeah, that's right. Actually, you're right. I
this
forgot about that somehow.
this is the like you want to splash this into the black green insect deck for sure.
Mhm.
Because there are a bunch of cards that say, oh, when there are creature cards in your graveyard, you make a token for each creature card, or make this is cheaper when there are creatures in your
Yeah.
graveyard, and this is an insect too. So like you would splash like if you play black green insects and then you take this card and you splash a little bit of blue in so you can play this. I think that's worth it.
Yeah, I think we just
Um,
figured out what this card
that's
is.
yeah,
Needleworm is a black card. I know
yeah.
you don't
It's
see
a
a
black
black
card in
symbol on this
disguise.
card, but this is a black
Yeah.
card. You should play this in black decks. Whether that's insects or even if that's like Exodia stuff because they have a lot of graveyard stuff in those black decks. This works the best in a black deck, so that's really funny. This is a 3-color card. Just play it in your black decks that also can cast it. That's what I would say. All right, I'm gonna give it a C as well. It's just a weird card. It works, but it doesn't work where you expect it to. All right, next card. Next card is Nightmare Penguin, our first penguin of 3. Nightmare Penguin is a 4-star water aqua effect monster that has 900 attack and 1800 defense. It says all face-up water monsters you control get 200 attack. When this card is flipped face-up, target one card your opponent controls and return it to their hand. Tell me about it.
Fun fact: this is not a flip effect monster. You might have
Right?
noticed.
Isn't that weird? Super
Yeah,
weird.
there are a few monsters that have flip effects, but not actually flip effects. And so, if this card has defense position in the Magic version, I'm leaving this call. Just saying. Um,
No! I think we should just let's just skip to the next card then. Yeah, we don't need to talk about this one. Yeah,
no,
hold on.
no. But uh, like this card was also pretty decent. I honestly can't tell you too much about the Penguins, even though I know they were menaces, right? I know they were played.
Yeah.
I know Wall of Illusion was like a. Oh yeah, we originally had like Wall of Illusion, right? I think this was replaced with Nightmare Penguin, if I recall that. Was
No, I
that what it
think it
was?
was replaced with the worm, the needle worm.
Yeah, but like, yeah, you see, this is very similar to Wall of Illusions. Wall of Illusions was decent,
Hmm.
because you had like the big defense body, and then when stuff ran into it, you could bounce something. Nightmare Penguin has the upside of being able to be flipped by yourself and doing it, and then also yeah, this was just generally a decent card. I think Penguin Soldier and yeah, Penguin Soldier saw more play back in the day, but this card was not to be discounted. And it was also the start of like, Penguin Soldier, Penguin Knight, Nightmare Penguin. These guys actually became an archetype later. So
Hmm.
there you go.
Yeah, yeah, they
We
did.
we have penguins. We have penguins thanks to this.
Absolutely. Let's look at the magic version. The magic version is 2 green blue for a 3/5 creature nightmare penguin. The name is in the text. Don't
Yeah.
get at me that they don't do penguin anymore as a creature type. I understand it should be bird. I don't care. I like that the name matches the creature type, okay? Anyway, continuing. It
It's
has.
a
It's a penguin, okay? Anyway, it has defense position, 2 green blue, so same cost as its mana cost to turn face up if it's blocking. I don't think that was intentional. I think we. I think I messed up there. That's weird. Hold on. I need to fix that. So, and what he
what
says is,
what's the fix?
oh, the defense position cost shouldn't be the same as the mana cost. Those should be different because
Oh
otherwise
yeah.
it doesn't really matter. I mean, obviously, without the defense position ability, you can't put this into play as a 2/2 defender. But it is kind of weird to have them both be
Yeah.
the same. Okay, so whenever this or another creature you control is turned face up, put a +1/+1 counter on that creature, then return up to one target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. So this, unlike the original, which is just like flipping it face up and bouncing one thing, it is allowing you to bounce any non-land permanent anytime anything is turned face up. This is a pattern you're going to see for some of these other cards where they trigger off of any of your flip summon dudes, and that is where this allows you to build out your green blue archetype, to get multiple triggers, to go crazy with Book of Taiyu. Because if Nightmare Penguin is face up on the field, and then you Book of Taiyu something else, Nightmare Penguin also double triggers as well as the other thing you're targeting. Very important to know that. So it's very, very cool for that. The +1/+1 counter is just like a reflection of the fact that Nightmare Penguin bumped your water monsters a little bit. I thought that was cool. So I wanted to show that he makes your other stuff stronger as well by putting counters on them. And the more you flip them, the stronger they'll get. A quick rules reminder for anyone who doesn't know. Creatures that are flipped face up or face down are the same creature still. They just have different properties. So those counters, if you flip something face down with Book of Taiyu and face up or whatever, and flip it back and forth, it'll accumulate more counters that stay on it. So don't forget that. It's not blinking, it's not leaving the battlefield and coming back. It gets to keep all those counters. So very, very important to know that as well. What are your thoughts on this card, Aaron?
Jesus, yeah, this is a control engine. Um, one of the pieces that just lets you, like, together with like Desert Tarpier, you set something, you flip it up, you bounce something, you do it again. Um, yeah, you can even bounce your Desert Tarpier to like do it again, if you
Yeah.
if you feel like you have the resources. Um, like, yeah, this is the bread and butter. You have a guy that sits there and acts as the engine, and I really enjoy that. It is costly. Like, you need to invest at least 5 mana because it doesn't have an enter trigger. It needs to be set face down, and then like it can be removed while it's face down and all that. And then you need to pay 4 mana for it to flip. But the fact that this becomes a 4/6 and bounces something when you do that is like really good stall value, and the fact that you can keep repeating this, it's like a win condition for the green blue deck. This card is a B for me. But outside of like the green blue defense position deck, I don't think you would necessarily splash for it unless you're desperate for removal.
Yeah.
But this belongs firmly in the green blue defense position deck.
It could be really expensive. If you're not playing the blue green deck, this is very costly for its effect. If you're not playing like the actual defense position payoff deck, you have to pay 1 to play it face down, and then you have to pay 4 to flip it face up. That's kind of expensive, right? That's 5 total mana, although it's split up a little bit, for a bounce spell that attached to your 4/6. And while in like normal limited, that'd be great. That'd be fantastic. In this set, that's pretty expensive. 4 mana to get the trigger, even if it is at instant speed, is pretty expensive. You can play this in a deck that's not paying you off a bunch for it, but I just don't think it's as worth it. So I agree with Aaron's B, but it's a B in the green-blue deck. It's not really something you really want to play that much in the defense position deck specifically. It's not something you want to play in your other green-blue decks, right? If you're like trying to play insects, or you're trying to play some sort of wizard package that's splashing green for some stuff, this is not the card you should be picking. You should definitely not play this card in that deck. All right, so B for Nightmare Penguin, conditionally. Next card is another Penguin. We've got Penguin Knight, which is a 3-star water aqua effect monster with 900 attack and 800 defense. It says, when this card is sent directly from your deck to the graveyard by an effect of a card controlled by your opponent, unite your graveyard cards and your own deck, shuffle them to form a new deck. I fucking love that wording. It's so silly. It's so silly.
Yeah. You can tell that this has never gotten an errata, right?
Yeah, I can.
This is the same. This is the same wording from like the first set that it was printed, like way back when. I think same set as Penguin Soldier, right? I think this is one of the only cards that has Unite in the card deck. Maybe the only one that has Unite in it. Yeah.
It's awesome.
and it's like, it's awesome because unite your graveyard cards and your own deck, shuffle them, and form a new deck.
A new deck?
You didn't do that.
What does that mean?
Form a new deck, Just take your old deck, throw it away, and pick up
a new one. Yeah. Hey, hold on. I got to go build my new deck. Give me a sec.
Yeah. By a card controlling. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this, of course, never saw any real, like, I think there is a world where you would, I don't think there is an actual world where you would do this, but maybe there was some niche scenario where some mill deck was somewhat okay and you would play this in the side deck, but I don't think that ever happened, honestly. We just had this card in here because we wanted to replace the ooze.
The ooze. You're not going to see the ooze. This has the Magic version has the exact same card text as the ooze that we replaced it with. So let's look at the Magic version. It does not reflect the Yu-Gi-Oh version actually at all. So I just want to make that clear up front. Yeah. In Magic, Penguin Knight is 3 green blue for a creature. Penguin Knight, it's just, I have to. It's hilarious. Anyway, it's a 5/5.
The law, yeah.
It's the law. It's a 5/5 with defense position 1 green blue, so it costs 3 mana to flip if it's blocking, which is really strong with this guy, by the way, because he's a 5/5. That's a really good block you're getting. And it says, when this or another creature you control is turned face up, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. This is your defense position card that kills your opponent. That's what you're supposed to do here. This is the one that's going to build up the power of all your creatures. Also, want to note, it puts a counter on each other creature you control, or on each creature you control. It includes itself, and it puts it on all of your other defense position monsters, all the ones that are set. So they'll become, 3/3s or 4/4s with Defender. And when you flip those ones face up, they keep the counters. That's what I was trying to say earlier. Very important for Penguin Knight. He allows you to build up the stats of your other cards before they've even flipped face up. So he's really good for being a part of your way that you're going to kill. Because he also triggers on all your other cards flipping face up. So as you do that, your whole team is just getting massive, bigger and bigger and bigger. Again, Book of Taiyu, right? We're going to Book of Taiyu my other creature, my Nightmare Penguin, let's say, to bounce 2 of your things, and I'm going to double trigger Penguin Knight. Everything gets +2/+2, right? Super cool. This is, power level wise, not the craziest thing, but I think if I know I'm going to be leaning into the defense position deck, I really want this because I need a way to close out the game. I need some card that's going to help me kill my opponent. And this card is super good at turning what would otherwise take like 4 or 5 turns to kill your opponent into something like a 2-turn lethal, which is great. What are your thoughts, Aaron?
Yeah, I will point out though, with the green-blue defense position deck, putting +1/+1 counters on your entire team is not actually making your clock all that much faster because everyone has Defender. So So it means that yeah, your team gets stronger, and your defense position guys get a lot more resilient towards removal, which is nice. You know, they can't be burned anymore. They can block better. It's a very good stall tool. It makes your entire team like able to stall the game out a lot more. And then, of course, when they turn face up, they can smack really hard. But
Yeah.
I think it's already noteworthy. Like, this is not just an aggro thing, this is also like a control thing
Hmm.
because it makes your defender team much bigger. Yeah, originally, this guy was, for anyone curious, this was Worm Gulls. Um, this was the only worm monster in the entire. Needleworm doesn't count. We are
Yeah.
talking about the worm archetype
Yeah.
from Yu-Gi-Oh! There, in case you didn't know, that one is 26 different worms, one for each letter of the alphabet, and we only had one worm in here, one that no one remembered, and it was only in here because we needed some flip guy. And then I think at some point I suggested, I think, to say, well, actually, how about we make all the blue green guys into as many penguins as we can? And so we got the last little penguin knight guy in here.
Yeah.
I think he fits much better with the whole vibe. You know, you got the desert tapirs, you got the penguins. I feel like that's much cleaner than having two penguins, a desert tapir, and the fucking worm eldritch horror from another planet.
And then a random wall of hair
Yeah,
as well. I think that's why we replaced
yeah,
Wall of Illusions for that reason too. Even though that card is iconic, we replaced it because we wanted
yeah,
all the blue green stuff to be cute, funny little animals.
yeah. As for power level, yeah, this is strong. If you can, like on turn three or whatever, if you can flip this up for a 6/6, you're doing a lot. Um, and yeah, whenever anything turns up, like a bunch of these creatures are just these engines. And as
Hmm.
mentioned before, yeah, we if you get all of them set up, you're basically like snowballing so hard that no one can ever come back from it. I would say, yeah, this is another one of those that you can only play in the blue green deck. Maybe also in other green decks if you really want some big guy, but I would suggest against it. I think this
Yeah.
is mainly for the blue green deck and maybe a C plus there.
Yeah, I would say C plus as well. And I think to kind of piggyback of something you were saying, Aaron, this does help with defensive plays. It helps you be very defensive. But the key thing is that your opponent will see you being defensive, trying to block, trying to find good places to set up a good board state, and assume that they're going to be playing through your defenses the whole game. And then suddenly on one turn you're swinging with 3/7/7s, and they weren't expecting that.
Yeah.
Right? That's what
Yeah, true.
Penguin Knight sets that up. Right? One turn,
Yeah.
you block with it, you flip it as a 6/6, and they're like, oh, that's a really good take. You took my 4/4 out of that. And then they're still thinking you're being defensive, but this will turn the game around really quick. So as you start flipping those face down creatures face up, they have the accumulated counters from before, but now they're triggering this and adding more counters. You go from being super defensive to I will kill you in 2 turns, and your opponent now has to be on the defensive themselves, and they weren't prepared for that. So do know that
Yeah.
this is your kill card for the deck, but you should be playing it defensively at first. In fact, Penguin Knight here wants you to pay its defense position cost. That's what it wants you to do because that gets you value. You blocking with a 3 mana 6/6 essentially they weren't expecting, and I think that that's where he is really good as well.
Yeah, but I think I wanted to mainly point out because I think it's enjoyable that um, normally when you see like a +1/+1 counter on your entire team effect, it's usually like a red thing or a white thing, like pump your team and go in
Oh
for
yeah,
damage. And this still feels very controlly, even though it's like in blue green, even though it's like pump your entire team,
yeah,
it's still like super defensive in a way.
yeah.
I think I enjoy that
Very
aspect.
fitting, very fitting for the deck. Yeah. All right, C
Yeah.
plus. Next up, we've got the actual goat, the actual good one of this cycle. No shade on
Yeah.
Nightmare Penguin. Penguin Soldier, which is
Yeah.
2-star water aqua flip effect monster, 750 attack, 500 defense. When you flip it, you target 2 monsters and return those targets to their hand. Notably, you can return itself, which is fucking wild. Go ahead, Aaron.
Yeah. Yeah, though, yeah, there are a lot of nuances to this card. This card was probably like, Man-Eater Buck was good in the day. This was also very, very good. Um, appeared on the playground at least. I don't know how much it was actually competitively played, but I
Right.
imagine it was played because this card, yeah, this messes you up if you attack into it. One thing to note, it can return itself, but not if it was attacked over. If your
Mm.
opponent attacks over it and kills it, then you cannot return it because it's dead.
Yeah.
But if you, on your own turn, then decide to flip it and target one thing of your opponent's and one of your own, then you can return the Penguin Soldier, set it again, use it again. Um, Really good control piece back in the day, and iconic for every playground kid for sure. I'm glad, like
100%.
it had to be in this set, of course.
Had to be. Yeah, I was not making it out.
Yeah.
This is the first foil. I don't know what Yu-Gi-Oh players call it, but this is my first foil card as well. My first foil card was a Penguin Soldier from Yu-Gi-Oh.
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
it looked good in foil too. All right. Anyway, next up, or not next up. Sorry, the Magic version is. Oh, what is that? What are you? Hold on, Johnny. Pause. You need to pause this video. Why does Penguin Soldier cost 7 mana? Well, I'll get to that. Hold on. Give me a second, everyone. Penguin Soldier, yes, it costs 5 green blue for a 4/5. Why is it so big, Johnny? What the fuck? Okay, I'll get there. Jesus, why do you keep asking me these questions? Okay, it has defense position, and its defense position cost is 3 green blue, so if it's blocking, you can pay 5 instead of 7. It has vigilance, and it says when this creature enters or is turned face up, return up to 2 target creatures to their owner's hands. So, first things first. This effect is crazy in Magic. Bouncing 2 things. I tried to look through the history of creatures that had the ability to bounce more than one thing, and most of them cost 6 or 7 mana. And those are typically rares. They're typically very powerful. Standard, there's a dragon right now that has Omen, which don't worry about what that does, but it costs 6 mana for a flyer that can bounce 2 non-land permanents. Okay? So, that is a card in Magic that exists, but it's a rare and it costs a bunch of mana. Here we have one with defense position that I can pay for 1 mana and later flip it up to get this trigger. So that's how we got the 7 mana cost on this, was comparing it to what Magic would allow you to do in these colors with this with this big of an impact on the board state. Because remember, in Magic, bouncing 2 things is very big because they have to pay the mana again, right? That's huge. They won't be able to play other cards when they're trying to play those cards out. Yes, bouncing things that your opponent fusion summoned or special summoned or whatever can also disrupt them a lot in Yu-Gi-Oh! That's very true. It's why Penguin Soldier was also very good in Yu-Gi-Oh! But also, when you do that, that player can still play all their spells and traps without that interrupting them. Whereas Penguin Soldier in Magic, if I have to cast my creatures again, that's mana I can't spend on anything else. So, Penguin Soldier needed this for balance. But when you create a creature that costs this much mana, if you make its body really tiny, it feels wrong. Like it shouldn't cost this much for a body that has such little staying power, impacts things so little. So I decided that I would buff up its stats just a bit, right? A 4/5 for 7 is not worth that amount of mana. You don't pay 7 mana for a 4/5. But it's not as tiny as like a 2/1, which is what I would have translated its original stats into. So I tried to buff it up a little bit. It's a soldier. I gave it vigilance. Vigilance is something blue and green is allowed to have, just to give it a little bit more spice to make the high mana cost not feel so bad. But I was not willing to make it cheaper based on what its effect actually was. What are your thoughts, Aaron?
Yeah, I think is this one of your I think this is one of your first designs for blue green, wasn't it?
Yes,
Um
absolutely.
yeah. And yeah, it's really powerful. I would honestly say the power translation is very well because you know, you play this for 7 mana, you bounce 2 things that they probably paid a ton of mana for, and you have a 4/5 with vigilance. And then I would like to point out that if you have any synergy with the blue-green defense position deck, you can reuse this ability.
Uh
You
huh.
can probably use Book of Taiyu, stuff like that. You
Uh
can
huh.
Book of Moonet, you can use anything that says turn this face up, and you just terrorize your opponent with it.
Mm-hmm.
Similar to Nightmare Penguin. But this one just works on its own. I feel like this is also worth splashing in. Like if you play any green deck or any blue deck that can splash, either green or blue, you can just splash it and have it as a top end.
Yeah.
It's decent. If you have you get to 7 mana, you play this normally, and you just bounce their two massive guys, and then you basically come back from whatever predicament you were in. This is a
Absolutely.
very good reset button. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
I would place this
fantastic.
highly. Yeah,
And
honestly, like a
this,
B plus or an A or something for me.
I'm gonna give it a B
Yeah,
plus. I think A is it is expensive. 7 mana or
yeah,
5 with the block when you're
yeah.
blocking to flip it. That's
Put B
quite a
plus.
lot.
Yeah, B
Obviously,
plus.
you can just play it as a 2/2 defender for one, which again, that buyout is so good for defense position cards. But yeah, I would say B plus is still where it's at. Yeah, this combos with Book of Taiyu to completely reset your opponent's entire board. It's this is how you go. Okay, I will pay 1 mana for my Penguin Soldier, face down, and then maybe not on turn 2 because it wouldn't really be worth it, but at some point in the next couple turns, I just pay 2 mana to flip this up instead of 7, instead of 5, with Book of Taiyu, return 4 of your creatures to their hands, and then I can either leave this face up as a 4/5 that can attack you, or put it face down so I can do it again later. Like, this is the card you want when you want Book of Taiyu. If you have Penguin Soldier and you're not just splashing Penguin Soldier, Book of Taiyu skyrockets in value, right? This is the card you want to already have. Don't pick Book of Taiyu first. Pick Penguin Soldier, and if you see Book of Taiyu while having Penguin Soldier, that's when you're like, okay, now it's time to pick Book of Taiyu. Because this card's crazy, and that card is really good when you have this crazy card. So yeah, B plus for me. All right.
Yep.
Next card is Ryza, the Storm Monarch, which is 6-star winged beast effect monster with 2400 attack and 1000 defense. And it says if this card is tribute summoned, target one card in the field and place that target on top of the deck. Tell me about this card.
Oh man, this is arguably one of the best monarchs in Yu-Gi-Oh, because um, I need you to imagine the fact that you can just place expensive things or things that are hard to play back on the opponent's deck and skip their draw step essentially because they have to draw back into it. This thing was a menace for the Frog Monarchs because he could just, you know, um, of course, yeah, they get the card back, but they essentially also don't get a new card to draw and out to potentially like the tempo loss that they just suffered. This card was brutal. Was one of the prime monarchs that you would try to play with the monarch deck next to Caius, and honestly, like was really good for a really long time. I struggle to remember. I don't think it was played in the modern Monarch decks because they had better things to do, but it might have been. Um, like this sort of effect is common in Magic, like putting a thing back on the opponent's deck. But man, in Yu-Gi-Oh, it was brutal. Like yeah, if I
Yeah,
remember two brutal monarchs, it's Caius and this guy. So yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. I love it. Beautiful. And let's see the magic version, which is Ryza, the Storm Monarch. 4 green blue for a legendary creature Monarch Druid is a 5/4. It has emerged for 3 blue green, just like all the other ones do with their color combos. This one has flying because it is a Storm Monarch up in the sky doing its thing, right? And
What
it
a
says
diff
when.
storm, huh?
Wait, shut up. I saw this, I thought the same thing, dude. I was like, ah, shit. What have I done? Look, it's got winds and tornadoes. That's a green thing, okay? I'm trying.
Yeah.
Don't let Quentin hear you, or not. Don't let Quentin see us because he's gonna say, "Well, it's green, obviously, because Rise's armor is green. That's why he's green." That's what Quentin always makes that joke. Okay. Anyway, sorry. When Ryza enters, if you cast it, put target permanent on top of its owner's library. This card's a beating. This card is rough. I've played against this multiple times. I underestimated how fucked up this card can be, actually. There is a key
So it's
thing about this card. It says target permanent, not target non land permanent. This can hit lands. It's rough.
So we really got like the Yu-Gi-Oh feel here because it matches how brutal it is. It comes in, it's a big guy, and it just returns anything, and they have to deal with not drawing it out for a turn because they draw the card you just returned. it has the same brutal feeling of the one in Yu-Gi-Oh, and I really appreciate it for that.
Yeah, yeah. This definitely. My opponent was on the play. I was on the draw. On my turn 2, I play a land and pass. On their turn 3, they emerge this out and put my land back on top of my deck. It's just like, and I'm down to 1 land now. Awesome. This can be
Oh
super
my god.
brutal. This is so. This is probably, as far as gameplay patterns go, this is up there as one of the most powerful ones in the set for the Magic set. It's I would say it might be the most powerful one, but late game it does kind of fall off a little bit, where that ability is good but not as good as it is early game. Um, like obviously if you're hitting like a fusion monster or a big creature that they have to cast again for a lot of mana, it could be really good. But late game overall, replaying things isn't as big of a deal as it is early game. So that's where that happens. But it's still super powerful and can allow you to get ahead really early in a way that your opponent can't come back from whatsoever. And so and it has flying, right? So it's going to attack through, and even if they put a blocker into play, it might not be able to block this. So if you're looking for a way to kill your opponent early and fast in blue and green for whatever reason, which is a thing that happens, you're playing different kinds of decks, this can absolutely do that super well. So I'm gonna give this an A minus. It is that good. It is absolutely that good. A minus.
For me, it's a B plus because, of
Yeah.
course, you need to play it in the colors, and if you have the Monarch deck, this is the one of the best ones to pick up.
Yeah.
If not, if you play a green or a blue deck and you find the way to splash this is nice. You can. It seems fairly easy to splash because we have so much fixing in this set, which we will get to.
Hmm.
But this is worth splashing, in my opinion, because it's not just removal. This is also a threat. So yeah,
Yeah.
B plus.
Yeah. Very good. Very good. All right. We're a similar track. Next card. Okay, we talked about this earlier. This is the Skellingle or Skellingel. I'm not really sure how to pronounce
Yeah.
it. I feel like it's skeleton and angel mixed together, so that would be Skellingel. But Skellingel sounds silly. I don't like it. So anyway,
Skalengle. Um,
Skellingel. It is
I don't
two
know.
star light fairy flip effect monster, 900 attack, 400 defense. When you flip it, you draw a card. Tell me about it.
Okay, so there is a history of flip effect monsters, especially like, okay, Dekoichi, um,
Hmm.
Dekoichi, the locomotive flip monster, 1400 attack, flip draw card, that was played back in the day.
Yeah.
Um, Mainly because it was a dark monster and had decent stats. Like the 1400 was decent stats. Skalengo, same vein. I don't know if it was played as much. I don't think so. But it is a light monster, so if you like it's iconic, but I don't think it was as good as Dekoichi was back in the
Yeah.
day. And although if you have like, any light monster, any dark monster, you look at it and go, well, that can be fodder for my BLS or my
Right.
Chaos Emperor Dragon or something, or my Chaos Sorcerer. That's always the first thought. But yeah, this there are a few of these, but I'm glad that we picked this up because I think a lot of people remember this card. And yeah, we made it into a cool version in Magic.
Yeah, and also we were trying to stick to the creatures that would fit the weird, silly looking cute creatures thing. This is the best we can
Yeah,
have with this effect, this is the one that looks kind of silly looking because it's a little angel with
yeah.
no body. I don't know. It's silly, but the magic version is blue green for a 2/1 that has it's a creature fairy angel that has defense position for a blue green hybrid, so only 1 mana if it's blocking. It has flying, and it says whenever this or another creature you control is turned face up, draw a card. So all we did with it is expand its flip effect to be for everything that you flip face up, just like the worm, or not worm, just like the penguin knight, right? Those are going to be working for everything, just like Nightmare Penguin. They're going to be these things that make you want to flip a lot of different things in a lot of different orders to get all their triggers. And this one's just getting you card advantage, and it's pretty efficient at that. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, my thoughts are I am sad that the art is cut off, that we can't see
I
the feet.
know. The
And
feet. You
yeah,
need to see the feet.
the the feet. Yeah. But as in like I see this is honestly like one of my favorite blue green defense position guys because this also goes in other decks.
Mhm.
Like I can see myself playing this in um, you know, blue decks that just want to accumulate card advantage,
Hmm.
in green decks that play some defense position guys. You just the nice thing is that you can just flip it for the hybrid cost if you really want that card draw, and then maybe like if you manage to flip another defense position guy, you draw another card from it. It's quite efficient. It's one of the more versatile blue green defense position guys for sure. Like
Hmm.
Penguin Soldier is one that you want to play, and this guy too. Um, I like it a lot. I would
Yeah.
say it's a as an engine. Like if you have this setup and you have any of the other guys that get profit off of you flipping things up, it's dirty. Like flip it up, draw a card, bounce something. You know, uh, if you have like I don't know, if you flip like a penguin soldier, bounce two creatures and draw a card, it's
It's
filthy.
pretty
But
good.
yeah, yeah, just on its own, um, just on its own, it's probably like a C. But if you have any sort of synergy, it becomes like a B minus to B
Yeah.
plus, because this can really like keep you in the game.
Yeah.
They need to kill this thing if you don't want to draw a million cards out of it.
And if the green blue cost is not hard for you, you can just turn one, put it face down, turn two, flip it face up, draw a card, swing for two in the air. Turn three, you can emerge out Ryza. So like, I'm just saying, this is actually similar to a couple other cards we'll see. This is actually a great card to emerge off of because it gets you its card back very easily. It doesn't cost you a lot to get that card back. Yeah, it's 3 mana total, but when you can split the 3 mana up, it actually makes it a lot easier. Turn one, play it. Turn two, flip it, draw a card. Turn three, cast an emerge five. You know what I mean? That's nice play pattern. That's on top of that's like not even a that's not even a crazy thing, right? That's a very simple play pattern. That's not even a crazy play pattern where you're drawing a million cards. That's like I'm not even playing the defense position deck and I think this card's fine. And then you could build it like Aaron was saying up to your B minus, your B territory for how crazy it can get. So I would say if you're building around this, it's a B. If you're not building around it, it's a C. And I think that's pretty straightforward. It's not a bad card at any point.